What is something about yourself that sounds totally made up, but is 100% real? Like us to read you more awesome Reddit topics? Just like and subscribe to our channel. I was once sponsored by the Crunk Energy Drink Company for sailing. I imagine I was the only sailor on their list. I literally just emailed them saying that I sailed and asked if they wanted me to put stickers on my boat. They sent me a few cases of the drink, t-shirts, hats, the works. My car was known as the Crunk Mobile. That's badass. I saw the former Prime Minister of Poland in his underwear. That's not how the rhyme goes. I see London. I see France. I see the Prime Minister of Poland in his underpants. I was at a store when Tony Hawk was signing autographs. I was only 10 at the time and was a huge fan. One of his early video games had just come out. The store had a couple TVs on the wall and some video games to play. Being a kid, I waited for one controller to open up and someone leave. A kid ended up leaving and I grabbed the controller and started playing and minding my own business. A couple minutes later, the store wanted to grab photos of Tony playing his own video game. He came over and grabbed the second controller and began to play multiplayer with me. Probably played for 10 minutes. The bonus was it was also my 10th birthday, so I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater with Tony Hawk. I took my mother for a surprise trip to NYC. She got married to my father there in 1968. The surprise was manufactured by way of telling her we were going to Australia. We live in New Zealand, so a trip to Australia is not a huge deal. It's the type of thing you could do for the weekend. And therefore she packed a bag and brought her passport. We got to the airport and said, "Surprise, we're going to New York." And she cried her eyes out with delight. When we arrived, on our first morning, I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She said, "When I was last here, in 1968, the Twin Towers weren't complete. So, I'd like to go to the top of them. Your wish is my command." I said, and off we went to the WTC. That was the afternoon of September 10th, 2001. Suffice it to say, there was a particular poignancy when we looked out the window at around 8 a.m. the next morning. Damn, that's eerie. What was the aftermath like for you guys? Spooky. Anyone who was there at the time will remember 3 things that might not be obvious to anyone who wasn't. 1. The smell. Everything smelled of burning for a full week. 2. The F-16s in the air and law enforcement with automatic rifles everywhere. 3. The missing posters. The last of these I will never forget. It was heartbreaking. Every available surface was covered in missing posters. It brings a lump to my throat thinking about it even now. As a native New Yorker, you described it so exactly. The only thing you've left out was desperately trying to contact everyone we knew to make sure they were okay, and trying to do a head count of our extended network. Whose cousin's wife was downtown that day? Which friend's niece's fiancé was a first responder on duty? The waiting was agonizing, and hearing that calling waiting signal was awful. My dad worked for the MTA his entire career, and I remember that he didn't come home that night, or the next. We had no idea where he was, because all transit supervisors had to work doubles and triples to support first responders. Hearing him come through the front door is probably the best sound I've ever heard in my life to this day. Wish you could see my chills. Once in college, I applied for a job at the library help desk. I figured I would help people find books. Didn't give it much more thought than that. During the interview, I aced all of the customer service questions. Then they asked me whether I knew how to defrag a hard drive. Cue alarm bells in my head. But I kept calm outwardly and said, "No, but you can teach me." I worked in IT for 3 years by accident. They were too nice to fire me. I made my last boss swear on her life she wouldn't call me for tech support. They call my cell when I'm sick in bed and ask how to reinstall the printer not a dang week later. It's always the printers that get you. You can be a 55-year-old CTO, but when then CEO's printer stops working, you're the one who has to open it up and pretend like anyone knows how to fix a printer. Printers are the reason we have free software. Richard Stallman wanted to change the behavior of a printer and couldn't get access to the source code. So he went and started an entire social movement to ensure people could get and change source if they wanted to. Dedication. One of my ancestors was dumb and bought one of Napoleon's doorknobs. It turns out it's fake. Doorknobs were invented after Napoleon died. I'm intrigued by the fact that this is a story that your family decided to pass on from one generation to the next far enough to lose track of the relation and just refer to the subject as ancestor. Man, I would really hate it if my great 14 grandchildren had a story like this about me. I've been stabbed 8 times. Please tell me it has nothing to do with your username. Kids, am I right? At once? Or on separate occasions? Try not to get stabbed on the way to the parking lot. I got hernia by sneezing too hard. I got mine trying to match my wife's pregnant belly. Pop, I feel sorry for laughing. What a way to get it. When I was a kid, I woke up to find my cat giving birth to her kittens on my pillow, 1 inch from my face. I took it as a compliment. It totally is. That's like the Cat Congressional Medal of Honor. Right. If a cat closes its eyes around you, it means it trusts you. But if it frickin' births kittens inches from your face, you must be like family. The Olive Garden, when the cat gives birth near your face, your family. That's so sweet. Must mean she really trusted you. My cat went into labor at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was in high school. She had licked my leg until I woke up and followed her to her nest so that I could be there and comfort her while she had her 3 beautiful kittens. My great-great-grandfather was a Pinkerton detective, acted on vaudeville, and had 5 wives in 2 different states that knew nothing of each other. He also slightly changed his last name each time and never got caught until Ancestry website happened. LOL. Sounds a bit like my great-grandfather. He had a wife in France, and then 2 in the US in neighboring counties. He was caught though. My great-grandmother was wife number 2. She found out about wife number 3 and divorced him. No one knew about the first wife in France until I pulled his service records from WW1. Did he ever encounter Vanderlinde or O'Driscoll gangs? At age 50-odd and with limited to no video game experience, my mother completed Mario 64 before I did, in about half the time it finally took me to do it. Get good, sweetie. Kisses forehead. My brother is 31. I'm 19, and when he was born his grandmother, we don't share the same father, bought him an NES. My mother, not knowing what to do with it, turned it on and played Super Mario Bros. She spent 2 months every day trying to beat the game, even buying a strategy guide to go through it. She beat the game and never touched a video game again. My mom bought my brother and I a Sega. Then every night after we went to bed she would play Sonic. As a kid I thought she just loved playing games. As I got older I realized she only did it so that when we asked her for help she would be able to. A few years ago for her birthday I got her a Sega with Sonic and Sonic 2. I bought everything from the Sonic Edition Sega, just the box, no special skins back then, and everything that came in it. I spent months getting every individual piece including the books, and I had to buy nearly everything separately, because they aren't exactly producing them anymore and people didn't exactly stock up on them as collectibles back in the day. By her birthday I had it all assembled, some of it nearly in tatters due to age and wear and tear, but I did it. She loved it, and then about a month later I saw the full set in near pristine condition for sale on eBay. Not her or hers, and for about 1/10 of what I had paid to assemble my mom's tattered set. Still the favorite gift I've given. I bought a guitar amp from Brad Whitford of Aerosmith when I was 17. He and Steven Tyler served up cheeseburgers for me and my friends. The fact that they just dipped without saying anything makes this story X2 cooler for me for some reason. He hands it to me and I play a couple power chords, had me rolling. The hallmark of being a young punk ass in a band. Brings back a lot of memories. Dude, it was so embarrassing. He played this crazy BB King style thing and played a D into a G. A pelican engulfed my head with its massive fricking beak when I was a small child. Pelicans are cunts. Pelicans. Having lived around pelicans, I can confirm this. Also, I'm sorry, I know that most have been traumatic, but I am laughing so hard right now after reading this, because I'm imagining a pelican trying to eat a child's head, like I am actually in tears from your comment making me laugh so hard. It was super terrifying for little me at the time, but it makes for a great story now, so it's not all that bad. I won 2 TV game shows. The $10,000 Pyramid won $10,300 in 1975, and Sale of the Century was on the show for 9 days, won $34,000 in cash and prizes in 1985. I once successfully ran an unfunded shelter for circa 100 homeless veterans. as a homeless civilian. How did this come to be, if I may ask? When my mom was in grad school, she took several labs where she worked with cadavers. Because my dad worked nights, she often had to take me to class with her, and she'd usually just plonk me down on the table with the cadaver while she worked on it. "Can I go to work with you?" Over my dead body. Slams body bag onto breakfast table. Laugh track. "So, working from home today, Mom?" Snare us more laugh track. I ran out of gas outside of La Paz, Bolivia. Luckily it was downhill for about 6 kilometers into the city. I coasted the whole way on my motorbike, past buses and drifted into a gas station. Never missed a beat. Sounds like you saved a liter of fuel to me. I am one of very few people outside World War I to live through mustard gas. So rare the doctors, 1995, no internet, had no idea how to treat me. I've been in 3 fatal train accidents. Never had a scratch. Found the star of Unbreakable. Have you ever met a Mr. Glass? Geez, they should really stop letting you drive trains. Wait, fatal to other people, or do we got some undead stuff going on? All 3 trains died so that he could live. He wasn't on any of those trains. I cannot see 3D effects in movies or games. I didn't know that until a friend showed me his new Nintendo 3Ds and I asked him whether this thing was a scam, because it didn't look any different to me than a normal Ds. We had a fight over this, because we both thought the other one was bullshitting him. You're holding it wrong. How the frick do you not see this? Are you frickin' kidding me right now? There's nothing 3D about this thing. I got ran over by a car, but the driver didn't see me and proceeded to back over me. Did you get any major injuries? Luckily they didn't get my torso, but they crushed my legs. This was about when I was 13-14, about 4 or 5 years ago, so my legs healed and I'm walking again smiley face. Good to hear that you've recovered. Is he dead? No. Throws it into reverse.